we have 3 minutes to go. Are we starting sharp on time, or is there any?
Are we missing anybody, Abhina?
Let me just check. Gautam is here.
Nilasha.
Tashnuba is here.
Nilasha
Nayab
is
Ali, I
there.
can't see. Nilasha is there and Satya is there. I can't see Nayab Ali.
Yeah, I'm
Nayab
sending.
is. Wow, everyone looking so pretty.
I know this is the most fab panel. This is like up in fashion.
Okay, so if anybody wants to listen in Pashto, you can have a Pashto interpreter here. I'm reaching out to Nayab on her WhatsApp to check where she is. Is Nilasha here? Yes, I can see Tanveer here. I'm going to turn off my camera and call Nayab. Just give me a minute.
Okay, I think our webinar is live streamed already, huh? We are live, my friends. Hi, Gautam. Gautam, can you tilt the camera a little bit because there's a lot of space? Yeah, little bit. Yeah. No, not too much. Okay, this is fine. Yeah.
Fine.
Okay, fantastic.
So we are waiting on Nayab. I just spoke to her. She's just hopping from some other session to this session. So she's clicking the join button as we speak. And then I also Tanveer ji sent me a separate message saying that
Preeti, I
she's
think
joined, but she's
we are
fine.
live streamed
Live.
already. We are already on live, Preeti. Yeah. Okay, so it's 11:30.
Okay. Should we wait for a minute and then join?
As you wish, you let us know.
Let's wait for 2 minutes so that everybody joins.
I was thinking, Preeti, we can start and that person can join later. If we
Sure.
don't get it in another 2 minutes, then we can start, I feel.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's start. So good morning, everybody, and welcome to this wonderful panel on transforming lives, addressing the SRH needs of trans people. I welcome you all on behalf of the International Planned Parenthood Federation, and you are all a panel in our regional forum. This regional forum has an objective of helping our member associations and all the attending CSOs who are part of this panel and also a part of the audience to learn from each other, to learn from communities' experiences, and in the process influence our work to be able to serve to the most marginalized communities. So the overall objective of this panel is to help our MAs, our service providers, and all the CSOs who are attending this panel to learn more about what are the SRH needs of the trans communities and how can service provision to trans communities for their SRH needs be enhanced. I hope we learn a lot from this session, go back and apply it to our individual work. And I'm personally looking eagerly forward to this panel that has so many great luminaries to learn from their experience and their advocacy. I hand over the session to Ms. Abhina Aher, who is the moderator of this panel. To briefly introduce Abhina, Abhina is a trustee of the IPPF board, and she's a very well-known transgender activist from India with over 25 years of experience of working with development sector. She has been working on HIV and human rights. In the past, she has worked with Humsafar Trust, SOSWA, FHI, John Hopkins University, Center for Communications and Program, and HIV/AIDS Alliance. She currently works on the Sunshine program led by iTech India. She holds a postgraduate degree in NGO management and a diploma in software engineering. She is the founder of the first transgender-led dancing group in India and the first collaborative organization for trans women and trans men in the country called TWEET, Transgender Welfare Equity and Empowerment Trust Foundation in India. Abhina was awarded the Rex Award in 2014, the Global Innovator Award in 2017, and NB Roundtable Award in 2020 for her exemplary work for the community. We welcome you, Abhina, for this session, for this panel as a moderator, and request you to take over this panel. Thank you.
Thank you, Preeti. Thank you so much. And it's such a privilege and honor to be part of this panel. I think this is the most fab panel of the entire youth forum. I just feel that we have to raise the bar. Of course, all of you are beautiful people, and I think we are gonna make sure that we raise the higher standards of fashion and at the same time content that we bring to this panel with our unique contributions. It's very interesting when I actually was chosen to be part of the IPPF, and to become IPPF board member is not so easy. Let me tell you that you have to go through a really rigorous interview processes, background check, a lot of other things. And, because IPPF, who's working in SRHR, space, who is the leading SRHR organization in the entire globe. And when a trans person was considered as a board member of a SRHR organization, a lot of people raised their eyebrows. They were not been able to understand. But I knew that why I'm here. I knew that we were talking about the next generation of SRHR. I knew that we were talking about inclusive health approach towards everybody and making sure that nobody has left behind. I would like to reiterate that, COVID has hit everybody. And I think COVID has also hit my community, which belongs to the transgender community. Unfortunately, because across the globe, because the entire world looks at community, people into the binary world, many times people who are beyond the binary, who identify transgender or non-binary people, do get left out from counting, and at the same time from health services also. And today we are here for our exciting panel discussion, which is going to focus around sexual reproductive health towards transgender people and comprehensive education for transgender, comprehensive sex education for transgender people, youth. So I'm quite excited to be part of this panel and share this space with my fellow brothers and sisters who are doing some amazing work in this sector. I think when we talk about sexual reproductive health and we talk about having inclusive approach towards health, I think everybody deserve health access, and because health is a human right. And when we talk about the transgender community, also transgender community face a lot of stigma and discrimination across the globe. They've been denied for access to health, and at the same time, we don't have resource which are enough for transgender people to access health and human rights. And today what we are doing is that in this youth forum, we are bringing some amazing young trans people to share their life experiences from their countries and also guide us how at IPPF we will be able to take forward the SRH leadership towards the transgender people. So without any further delay, I'm gonna invite one after another some exciting activist people, transgender community people who are going to share their own experiences from various countries. So my first guest in today's talk show or a webinar or a panel discussion is Nilasha Neil. She's a transgender woman, live in Jessore. She's a member of Tarar Mela and participated in all the relevant advocacy meeting organized by Family Planning Association of Bangladesh District Office. In 2020, along with 10 transgender Hijra, Family Planning Association of Bangladesh has provided her a training to raise community awareness, and she participated from the Jessore region. She's a vocal and always tried to establish the transgender rights by making a role model. She did her BSS honor in economics and currently She's doing a job in an account section of private organization after sharing a project with a Family Planning Association of Bangladesh. Um, uh, Name Transgender Youth Development Project. She participated in each training and FGDs and currently involved in providing life skill sessions on transgender youth in their community as a trainer. Welcome, Nilasha, and we would really like to hear from you. Your thoughts about inclusion of transgender people in sexual reproductive health. Over to you, Nilasha.
নীলাশা নীলাশা তোমাকে আহ্বান করছেন, তোমার পরিচয় দেওয়া হয়েছে। নীলাশা,
I think Nilasha is struggling with the internet at this point of time, so we will give some 2 minutes for her to join. But at the meanwhile, I would like to introduce another fantastic activist who's also a dear sister. And, I have seen her work very, very closely and seen her blooming to a beautiful woman. Satya Bashi, a transgender right activist from Sri Lanka. Satya is a young trans woman from Sri Lanka. She's associated with Young Out Here Sri Lanka, and an organization which works with young people of diverse sexual orientations and gender identities. Satya is a project officer for the project of human rights violation against lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgenders, and queer person in Sri Lanka. Satya is one of the co-founding member of a national transgender network and was part of the advocacy team to form a system to establish a gender recognition certificate for transgender people in 2015 in Sri Lanka. Fantastic work. As a trans activist, Satya focuses on issues related to the hormone therapy, surgeries, mental health issues, as well as legal health issues, especially offering to the young trans people. Satya, you are an inspiration from Sri Lanka. We would love to hear you. Please come in and make your intervention.
Thank you so much, Abhina Didi Ayubowan. I would like to start this conversation like this, Abhina Didi. We know that HIV investment played a major role in our countries like South Asian countries. Because of that, communities were mobilized, increased their capacities, well formalized and organized as organizations. These are the advantages. But also we have disadvantages. The community and the health services providers considered only sexual health, such as HIV/STD advocacy, increasing HIV services. Due to that, trans men and other trans identities needs were neglected.
নীলাশা, mute please.
Reproductive health was ignored. We know that health technology has been advanced, but not as a human need. Therefore, we can see lots of issues because of lack of information and sensitivity among community members as well as health services providers. Pregnancy, menstrual, cancer risks. We know that pregnancy and menstrual is not only a women's problem right now. Men also get pregnant and menstrual. Gender affirming post-care, sexual hygiene, mental health issues, family planning, communicable disease issues. I'll give you an example. Back in 2015, right after my gender affirming surgery, when I came back to Sri Lanka, I didn't have anyone to ask if I face any problem. There wasn't any doctor aware about gender affirming surgery and post care. So I went on depression for 4 years. Abhina Didi knows that. So it took 4 years to come out from that stage for myself. I had to read and learn from my experiences. And also we know that because of puberty in age of 14 and 17, we know young people get confused. They need lots of support from their community as well as their parents. But we know in our countries, below 18 young people, we cannot reach, especially for trans people. we cannot reach and we cannot provide services. And also in between 18 to 21 young trans people, they have to ask their parents' consent to start their hormonal therapy or maybe change their documents. To overcome these issues, I would say we have to have more dialogues like this, increasing awareness. Advocacy should increase for all inclusive health. I can see now lots of trans organizations has been started it. Thank you so much for that initiate. As a suggestion, I can say we can think about or start trans-specified clinics to reach and provide services to all the members in the trans spectrum, or else we can include full trans health and care and youth into the health.
Fantastic. I think, thank you, Satya. That is a very, very focused intervention. I must appreciate your all inputs. Yes, absolutely. We must talk about inclusive healthcare for transgender people, especially for the young transgender people who probably at the adolescent stage are also, reach to the youth sections. I think Nilasha is back again. Nilasha, do you want to speak now?
নীলাশা তুমি কি কথা কথা বলতে চাও এখন?
Ma'am, I am Bangali. Please,
हाँ বাঙালি বলো।
ma'am.
নীলাশা তুমি বাংলায় বলতে পারো।
Jim.
মানে উনি তোমার পরিচয় দিয়েছেন, তুমি কি কাজ করো, তারপরে তুমি তোমার নাম, তুমি কি কাজ করো কমিউনিটির জন্য, এগুলা একটু শেয়ার করো। শুনতে
হ্যাঁ,
পাচ্ছো?
আমি জি হ্যাঁ শুনতে পাচ্ছি। আমি হচ্ছে ট্রান্স ওম্যানদের নিয়ে কাজ করছি, তারা যাতে সম্পূর্ণ স্বাস্থ্য সেবাটা পায় সেই দিকগুলা দেখতেছি। আর আমার কমিউনিটিতে অনেক পিপুল আছে যারা হচ্ছে এখনো পিছিয়ে পড়ে আছে, তারা যেন এগিয়ে আসতে পারে। আমি যে এই সুবিধাগুলো পাচ্ছি, আমি ফ্যামিলির সাথে থাকতে পারছি, সেগুলো যেন তারা থাকতে পারে, সেই বিষয়গুলো আমি সবসময় এই চেষ্টা করছি তাদেরকে করার। অলরেডি আমি তাদের সাথে হচ্ছে কাজে লেগে পড়েছি মাঠে, তাদের সাথে যে তারা যে আর 5 জনের মতো চলবে, 5 জনের মতো থাকবে, সেগুলো আমি হচ্ছে করতেছি। আর আমি বিশেষ করে লেখাপড়ার বিষয়টা আমি বেশি গুরুত্ব দিচ্ছি। আমার কমিউনিটিতে যারা প্রত্যেকের জন্য লেখাপড়া করতে পারে, যার ফলে তারা যে পিছিয়ে পড়া জনগোষ্ঠী আছে, সেই পিছিয়ে পড়া জনগোষ্ঠী থেকে তারা উঠে আসতে পারে। তাহলে দেখা যাবে যে তারা হচ্ছে বর্তমানে যে প্রবলেমগুলো ফেস করতেছে সেগুলো তাদের আর হবে না।
Thank you, Nilasha. Can somebody translate this, please?
Yes, she actually said that she is trans woman and she lived with her family, and she is working on that if someone can stay at their home, then it will be very effective for their development. And she also said that she working for SRH, ensuring SRH service into the community. And she actually emphasized on education. Her thinking is that if everyone can get educated, then the problem might get more solved.
Thank you, Nilasha. Thank you. That was very important, and I think you also touch based on the challenges that the transgender people may face, especially when they are staying away from their families or they're staying with their families when they have excess issues to their
Yes,
So thank you so much. That's a fantastic intervention. Now I would like to invite another friend of mine and come from a very vibrant and amazing country, Pakistan. Nayab Ali, salam alaikum. Nayab Ali is a transgender activist from Pakistan. Miss Ali is a researcher, author, and renowned human rights defender, and a social scientist over last 10 years of experience working on the gender equality, livelihood, economic empowerment. She has a background of human rights and institutional capacity development and expertise in social research. She's she has worked with. She's already she's the laureate of Franco-German Human Rights Prize 2020, APCOM Hero Asia Award, International LGBTI Activist Award, the Galas 202, and her tremendous contribution to rule the law and the human rights. So those people who feel that is transgender people are not educated enough, and they are not who accomplish so many things in their life. You see people like Nayab Ali from all the way Pakistan. Please, Nayab Ali ji, come and make your intervention.
Thank you so much, Abhina. It was lovely meeting to you all. You all are inspiration for us. We are following your good practices that you guys are doing in your respective countries. And because it's always, the movement always been taken up when it was led by a community. So we all are following the same model, the intervention done for community, led by community, and the for community. So now moving on towards our topic, the sexual reproductive health and rights is always being a taboo in Pakistan, because when we were working on Transgender Rights Protection Act, which allows self-perceived gender identity in Pakistan, which makes it most progressive law in terms of transgender rights protection. So I face an experience, because the people think, the common society of our Pakistani people, including the legislator, they think that sex is a taboo. Sex is a normal word. They don't want to discuss. And there was an interesting story that I must tell you. When I propose a thing like, hey, we are talking about transgender, we must include intersex people as well. And when I narrated this word intersex in the Parliament of Pakistan, they said, what are you talking about? I said, I'm talking about intersex. They said, you can't use this word. I said, why? They said, like, you are talking about sex. So I just told them, like, are you getting what I want to say? I want to include intersex people. So actually these guys were confusing intersex with intercourse, right? So it was so funniest thing for me, and we were laughing at that moment. Like, the sex word, whenever it relate to in a positive terminology, they don't want to discuss. They don't want to come over it. So it's the same happening with sexual health and reproductive rights. And one more interesting, I must want to highlight, like, people are confused in Pakistan between intersex and transgender people. They have a myth, like, they think the all transgender people are intersex. So that myth gave us help to get recognition in Pakistan. For example, because we are living in Islamic Sharia country, and nothing can be happening against the Sharia laws. So that myth help us. So but that myth that myth help us, but it comes up with some challenges and the troubles and the problems at the same time, because the doctors and the medical practitioners, they don't know about the autonomy of transgender citizen. They are so much biased. They are so unsensitive towards genders. Like today, I'm also in a training hall and providing technical training to the law enforcement agencies on this same issue. It's same happen in terms of the health, right? Because when they don't know about the body, the structure, the identity of a transgender woman, they don't give a shit. They don't bother to provide the service, because the first, we are facing so much stigma here. Like whenever we go to the health service provider and said, like, hey, we are sick, we want some medication, we want some treatment, the first response that we received from that practitioners, that was, hey, do you really people get sick? So they wondered about our sickness, the problems. So this is commonly happen in here. And there are so many issues, like for example, there is a lack of interactive platforms for because we have a hidden acceptance for transgender community. It's not on larger scale. So that's why we don't have an interactive forum where transgender youth can go show there where transgender youth can talk about their issues, and I was working on a project which was on SRHR. So we just renamed that project in terms of good health and good rights, right? So this kind of taboos, this kind of stigmatization, this kind of discrimination the transgender community is facing here. So when the topic is taboo, the issue is taboo, you can't work around it. So we are facing a lot of challenges due to that, and we are working on it. We are conducting some researches, some medical, some scientific evidence, like, because for example, when they have a myth that transgender people are intersex people, so they don't talk about right to family, they don't talk about safe sex and this kind of services. So there are so many challenges, and I must say these all challenges are very common in our South Asian region. But I must say, being an Islamic living in an Islamic country, the risk and the level of threat is very much higher.
Absolutely. Thank you. I think we all come from a diverse background. A lot of these things does play a lot of roles, like religion, political situations in the country, they do play a lot of role. But, I just feel that is this, even if everything is hunky-dory, still transgender people face a lot of issues in accessing health, sexual health particularly, because I think there's a huge amount of myths and misconceptions about the transgender people. And you actually brought it very well, that this big joke, and I see everybody laughing, that about the intercourse and intersex, and how people were like wanted to see what they think in their mind and don't want to talk about it. So sexual reproductive health is always been tabooed and not been talked out and open. So that has been a real challenge. Now I would like to introduce another fantastic an activist, a community person and human being from Bangladesh, Tashnua Anan. Tashnua, before I introduce to you, I must share this with you. When Bangladesh had you as first a news anchor, this news was not only observed by Bangladesh. Let me tell you very, very frankly, in India, this news was viral like a wildfire, and I think in all other countries. So when you actually enter into this space, you liberated trans women and transgender people to enter into the media and communications. That was a huge thing that you did. But having said that, you are doing a lot of other things. I must talk about that as well. Tashnua is from Bangladesh. She's the first trans person to broadcast the news. In addition to that, her day job is news anchor, and she's also pursuing masters in public health from the prestigious Bangladesh Rural Advanced Committee University, where she is the first trans woman to receive a scholarship to obtain such a degree in Bangladesh. Tashnua has been a leader in various Bangladeshi NGOs supporting to the trans community, namely Trans End and Trans Human Rights Commissions of Bangladesh, Rethink, and her own platform, Shri Voice of Sexual Minority. She is an accomplished dancer and actor, has won several dance competitions, and continues to make television appearances. Most recently, she has been working to bring challenging questions of human rights and social justice to the stage through her work with various theater NGOs. Notably, Tashnuma is one of the only, if not the only, trans woman to contribute to the publicly to the Me Too movement from the Bangladesh. Tashnuma has taken a brave step to be a public trans figure in Bangladesh and constantly working to improve her understanding to others on trans community by working with leaders from local intersex, hijra, and trans men community. Tashnuma, what a fantastic career graph you have had, and you are very young. I envy you. I wish I could have been as young as you to make a lot of difference to the society. But I really welcome you on this forum, and I would give the forum to you to please make your contributions. Thank you. Over to you, Tashnua.
Thank you so much. Actually, I'm feeling more privileged that some super women are here and I'm getting the opportunity to talk. I know Abhina, you very closely from very beginning. I was also following to you. And Satya, my closest friend, and I'm also here. So I'm feeling so much privileged. So I want to, if I want to start my quote from, since I want to acknowledge my television, they took that challenge and they took that decisions in front of the patriarchal society, because in our country, women, cis women, if I want to compare with me as a cis woman, that they are also fighting with so many stigma, so many patriarchal attributes. They are going on these issues. So I'm really happy, and I really want to acknowledge my television channel, my head of news, my chief news editor, and all news team actually, because I didn't have any grooming, I didn't have any presentation course. I did only, I was performing in theater as I'm a performer. So after 15 to 20 days grooming, and I am doing this job, actually I'm really feeling privileged. And for this reason, actually, I want to, my vision was that in our country, Satya also said about perspective of Sri Lanka, and I've also said about perspective of Pakistan. Nepal is mostly privileged that they don't have 377, right? So of course they have challenge. I'm not comparing to anyone, but similar to like us also, still now we have 377, and in SR issues or any other perspective, we have so many stigma as it is in Muslim country, right? So from there, I was also focused that I have to do something that will click the brains of human, that we can do, we can perform actually. Each and everywhere we are being traumatized, we are being harassed. Every evil and poisonous things are also happening with us, right? So from there, actually, I got these opportunities, and I'm trying my level, but still now to do something for my all trans sisters, because this movement is not only for me, this movement is but also for all trans women in South Asia. So from there, if I want to include our SRSR situation, actually in our country, Satya also again mentioned that SRSR means people know that STI, STD, and treatment from HIV, and they are getting actually how to do tests, and they are getting some awareness program actually. But what's the meaning of HR, reproductive health, how people will change their child? There is no, still now we don't have any recognition actually, and there is no proper definition who are trans actually, and what will be the decorum of there actually. Still now we are fighting. I want to share an interesting story. I was fighting with certificate issues, right? Because my certificate was in male certificate, and after my transformation, I was doing changes. So as I'm pursuing my master's from public health, and it's an also reputed university, Bragg JPC School of Public Health. So for visitation, actually, I need to change my certificate. So when I went to civil surgeon in Dhaka, they referred me in Dhaka Medical College Hospital to sit with the medical team, and they will justify that the process was happening with me, and they will give me a certificate, and I will submit it to civil surgeon office, and they will give me certificate. So it's really a matter of funny for me that I was sitting beside of a surgeon. So they was talking that he was talking that where you from? I said that yeah, I'm working as an anchor in television channel. So see, there is a papers with me. A person changed her gender, so that's why I'm here. See, he was male, but he transferred as a female, so we are here. So I was a little bit shake that this is me. So why he is identifying like this? So they don't have still now that proper perception or proper knowledge actually difference between transgender, transsexual, cisgender, male, and difference between male to men, difference between female to women actually. So when meeting was started, and our some colleagues also came there, and he was asking that, so where is the client? She doesn't came. So one of our colleagues also said that she is sitting beside some of you. I was
Yeah.
really laughing.
Yeah.
So then he's telling that, oh, sorry, I couldn't recognize. So
Oh,
there
okay.
is a situation of awareness in here. So and if I want to conclude our SRS scenario, that is same as like Pakistan and Sri Lanka, that we are still now fighting about doctor, about proper endocrinologist. But that is a positive experience for me, that I met some government officials and I met some super fantastic psychiatrists and endocrinologists. They want to do this. They are eager to go through on this process. But thing is that from our government, still now we don't have proper legal procedure. We don't have any kind of rules or regulation. We don't have any transgender bill still now. Huh? So if we can build it, then the process will be so much easier. And I'm really helpful because perception are changing day by day. People are aware. And by this March to this November, right? This is only 8 to 9 months. So I'm observing the change of people, and I'm really happy that my Bangladeshi people acknowledged us very well. And after that exposure, our government also declared another declaration that a 5% tax will be deducted from various organizations if they hire trans people in their organization as an employee. So after this declaration and after this exposure, that was another declaration from government and awareness after exposing my career in television channels. So I'm really hopeful, and it's really helpful in front of our country especially. And of course, this is important for South Asia, that we are doing mainstream media actually, and I'm working in a national television channel. So I'm really happy and hopeful for the next future. And I want to see what tremendous work will happen in soon. Thank you.
Fantastic, Tashnuma. I think you've got various points. You spoke about misgendering. You spoke about lack of knowledge among the healthcare facility about the transgender people in a very funny way. I really like the way you are putting it in a very positive manner, because a lot of times people, kind of they get annoyed, like if I would have been in your place, I could have just got annoyed, like factory miss, but you laughed at it, like saying that is, I'm sitting next to it and you are asking where this candidate is. So that's the kind of positive approach, is I think changing the mindset. And you also spoke about a little bit on gender-based violence. That is very important when it comes to accessing the sexual health among transgender people. And it is really, I can relate to it. It's just not about Bangladesh. Even in India, I'm sure in Pakistan, in Sri Lanka, and rest of the countries also, we are facing this kind of a problem. That is why we powerful people are here, and that is why we are uniting towards and we are using sexual health as a gateway to talk about comprehensive healthcare. I think one another thing that I want to highlight here is that a lot of you are talking about gender transition needs of the transgender women proactively. Everybody, I think Nilasha, I think Satya, and you, three of you, both, all of you spoke about that extensively. Is that how do you bring in, gender affirmation services under the paradigm of sexual reproductive health is something transformational, and I really congratulate you that for. And now I'm gonna, move towards a very handsome man, Gautam Ramchandra. He's a trans masculine person who strongly believes in queer feminism and gender equity. He's currently on a board of Transgender Welfare Equity and Empowerment Trust called as Tweet Foundation, and is also working as Safe Access, an organization based out of Delhi that aims to make healthcare services equitable and accessible for LGBTQIA+ communities. He's sensitized and mapped queer affirmative healthcare services providers, and also create a peer support groups for trans masculine person in Lucknow. He's trained as a peer support providers under Community Wellbeing Project, which aims at strengthening the community responses to emotional struggles of the queer trans community. Gautam, a very, very warm welcome to you. And there's huge onus on you of opening up the Pandora's box when it comes to sexual reproductive health towards a trans man. Over to you, my friend. Please come in.
Uh, First of all, thank you, IPPF and Bina ma'am, for inviting me to such a great panel. I am obliged to be among you all. You all are great leaders. So my name is Gautam Ramchand, and my pronouns are he and they. I'm a 24-year-old transmasculine person. I started my journey in this sector like 3 years ago. Still beginning with in the beginning stage. So I started my journey with Safe Access, and currently I'm a board member at Tweet Foundation, as ma'am introduced me. I trained, sensitized, and onboard queer affirmative healthcare providers in Lucknow, and currently working towards inviting more queer affirmative doctors into our sector. So, as a young trans activist, I worked on different projects, programs, and digital campaigns that are focused on LGBTQ population in India, mostly including cis women, and trans and non-binary people, specifically who are assigned female at birth. There's a long history of mistreatment and pathologization with real experiences of queer trans people, both intentionally and unintentionally by the hands of healthcare service providers. And in India, even cis het people population face tons of challenges when it comes to accessing the SRHR services. And it gets even worse when we talk about trans population in India. A lot of people say, I don't even want to access the SRHR services. They are in complete denial of accessing the services because they know they will get misgendered, they will get dead named, and it's far more worse when it comes to accessing the services. Specifically, if they want to get checked sexually, or they want to, like, if a trans man is having a pain in their stomach, they completely deny that. They say that I don't want to go for the ultrasound. No? These are the things, and it and I feel it is very hard to find resources on comprehensive SRHR that can be easily accessed by the people in rural areas who do not speak English or do not read English, because most of the resources and information is available online, and people in rural areas and who do not speak English cannot access that information. So it gets difficult to know about the services, to know about the information and all. And moreover, the existing comprehensive sex education has always been focused on mainstream cisgender and heterosexual population, which either stigmatizes the sexual reproductive health of queer trans people or completely leaving them out of the picture. Me as a trans masculine person, when I look back 3 years ago, if I was Googling the SRHR services, it was hard for me to find how to access these services, how to, talk to a doctor. I have a different body, and my soul is is of a different person. So I was also at that stage of time. I was also in the complete denial of accessing the services. Uh, and these things has created a huge barrier for people who are assigned female at birth in the queer trans community, be it a trans masculine person or non-binary person who are assigned female at birth. And as I said, the accessing the information has always been hard for us. I feel there is dire need to make our perspective more queer when it comes to sexual and reproductive health, rights, and justice, to make it more accessible for queer trans communities, uh, from online platforms to cover the people in the rural areas and who may not speak English, or the to have the resources in their local languages. And as a person who is undergoing gender affirmation surgeries and procedures, I have myself have faced problems in accessing the SRHR services. Still working in the same sector, I still face the problems. It is still hard to find the gynecologist who is not only queer friendly, but also who is queer affirmative. They don't know how to handle these situations. Their curriculum was so cis het normative that they themselves struggle to treat their trans and non-binary patients. If I am on testosterone, if I am on hormones procedures, therapy, the doctors themselves struggle when it comes to if I want to get my uterus checked, or if I anything that is gender specific. So to end my note, I feel like there are a couple things that there are actually a lot of things that needs to be done to make the SRHR services more queer, affirmative, and accessible. But to count the baby steps, I feel like the first and foremost thing is to have our the healthcare spaces an inclusive gender category, be it a third category or trans category, that people can access without getting misgendered. And the other option is to have their preferred name on it. As I said in the beginning, most people are in complete denial of accessing the SRHR services because they get misgendered, because they get dead named. So having that third, a non-binary category, and their preferred name on registration forms, on intake forms, on insurance forms, will make things a lot easier, and making our medical curriculum inclusive of queer and trans communities, and making these services more affirmative. Yeah, that's all from my end.
Thank you, Gautam. I think you opened the Pandora's box as I was expecting. And I would like to please request to focus our IPPF colleagues and MAs who are attending this conference either live or either from the social platform, that when you talk about the transgender people, sexual reproductive health, it is just not about STIs. It is just not about HIV infections and other related aspects. But it is way much more than that. We are talking about maybe an options to produce your own child and preserve your own eggs or your sperm before you transition. It may be associated with menstrual cycles. It may be associated with a trans man wants to produce their own child to preserve their own stuff. So it is way much more aspect, and we all are talking about couple of things which are extremely important. One is that we have to make sure our clinic has to be inclusive. And when we say we have to make our clinics inclusive, one thing is that of course we have to provide a preferred name to the client, and not to go by the guidelines saying that, hey, listen, this is your name on your social identity proof, so I will address you with that name. No, we have to ask people to their preferred name and their preferred pronunciation on the gender, because that is the first step towards the acceptance of trans people within the health premises. The second thing is that we have to upgrade the knowledge about the healthcare facilities. We have to upgrade the knowledge within the healthcare system about the transgender people. I don't think so we are at all scratching. We're just scratching a surface at this point of time. If you really want to give the SRHR services to the queer friendly people, with the non-binary trans people, we need to really know the science of it. We need to really have further discussions with the communities, understanding what are their practical problems, what are the exact services that we can make it available within the within our clinics that been run for family planning. And unfortunately, when we talk about SRHR, we are always talking about family planning, but we never talk about having quality and reproductive health. And that is something our new SRHR priorities are heading towards. Thank you all of you for contribution. I would like to ask you a very particular question from the contributions that you have made. I will request Nilasha to come forward and say to her what are her issues when she's living in Bangladesh, and when she wants to access the sexual reproductive health. What are the challenges that she faces in Bangladesh, especially in accessing those services into the healthcare setting? If she can highlight some couple of challenges, it would be really helpful. If you want to
Me-
translate, Tanvir ji.
Yes, yes. নীলাশা জি, উনি বলতে চাচ্ছেন, আবিনা বলতে চাচ্ছেন যে তুমি যে কমিউনিটি সেশনে কমিউনিটিতে এসআরএইচ সার্ভিস এনশিওর করতে যাও, তখন কি কি ধরনের বাধার সম্মুখীন হও বা কি ধরনের এসআরএইচ এর চ্যালেঞ্জেস গুলো আছে আর কি, এটা একটু বলার জন্য।
অ্যাকচুয়ালি আমাদের বাংলাদেশের প্রেক্ষাপটে এই বিষয়টা অনেক মানে বাধা, যেহেতু আমাদের মুসলিম কান্ট্রি। তো এখানে সেক্ষেত্রে আমরা যখন এই বিষয়টা নিয়ে কমিউনিটির সাথে কথা বলতে যাই, তখন তারা বিভিন্ন রকম মানে বিভিন্ন রকম সমস্যা সামনে তুলে ধরে। তো আমি এটা করতেছি, এটা আমাকে ভুল হিসেবে তারা প্রমাণিত করে। বাট আমি অনেক মানে আগে আমি হচ্ছে নিজের মেন্টালিটিটাকে বিচার করি, নিজের মনুষ্যত্ব, নিজের নারী সত্তাটাকে প্রাধান্য দিয়ে বিষয়টা বোঝানোর চেষ্টা করি। তারপরে সবাইকে হচ্ছে এই বিষয়টাকে উৎসাহিত করি। আর আমার অনেক প্রবলেম ফেস করতে হয়, যেটা আসলে আমি মানে একটু। আর তানভীর ভাই, এনি কোশ্চেন?
হ্যাঁ, না ওই কি কি ইস্যু নিয়ে কথা বলতে যাও আর কি কমিউনিটিতে, বা এই বিষয়টা যদি একটু বলো, কি ইস্যু গুলো? Okay, Abhinav ji, she was telling that mainly for religious restrictions, she has to this is the main barrier for her to anything or any service or any lesson provided in the community. And she always try her best to keep moving.
To address that, I think
Yes.
Tashnua also mentioned that in her interventions, that sensitization of religious leaders on ensuring that health equality, SRHR issues are very important. And when we do that, I think we have to have an inclusion of transgender people also. And right now, I think the people like Tashnua, Nelsa, you guys are doing a fantastic job in actually sensitizing people to accept them, what these issues are. Satya, I would like to go next to you. You mentioned about that, for some amount of time you struggle with your mental health issues, you were in depression and all those kind of things. So when, like, for in country like Sri Lanka, if we have to provide HRHR services to the transgender people, what is the comprehensive package that organizations like IPPF can provide under SRH that you think you recommend for the community?
I think if we are talking about gender affirming surgeries, or maybe the transition process, I would say counseling, pre-counseling and post-counseling, and also hormonal therapy. In Sri Lanka, we don't have estrogen hormone. Like in Sri Lanka, we have testosterone, but not estrogen. That means men have problems, but not women. So we take contraceptive pills, which has lots of side effects. So proper hormonal therapy and standardize the SRH surgeries, because there are lots of doctors using trans people as guinea pigs. So which is not good. And this is for the lifetime, and they will suffer for their lifetime. So if we can collectively think about a comprehensive package, I would say these are the services that we can issue for trans people.
I hear you. Thank you, Satya. Nayab ji, I would like to go next to you. You have worked in the spaces of policy. You talked about how you tried to sensitize the political leaders and help them understand. So if you want to implement the policies for SRHR for transgender people, what kind of a policies that we should be having towards the transgender people to access the SRHR services elaborately with countries like Pakistan, India, or any other countries perhaps?
Thank you very much, Abhina ji, for asking very pertinent question. So before answering this question, I just want to highlight one thing. When we was working on the Transgender Rights Protection Act, we specifically focused on SRHR facilities for the transgender community. As Satya said, like we obviously, every transgender woman or transgender man, they need some transitioning facilities, health facilities, such as hormonal therapies, etc. So we focus on it, and we put a separate clause in our Transgender Rights Protection Act, which allows the transitioning facilities. But recent intervention is that because our health service providers are still stuck in previous curriculum, right? We also added a clause in our law, like we need to amend the curriculum of healthcare providers. We need to add some international classification of disease, chapter 11 in it, because they are not aware on it. So we struggle to make this all intervention as the part of policy. And later on, there was a current intervention. The High Court of Punjab in Pakistan, they banned the castration of a person. This was a recent intervention. And later on, the Federal Shariat Court of Pakistan, somebody has challenged our transgender law by stating that this law is we are trying to legalize homosexuality in Pakistan through this law. So there are a lot of challenges, because it's all already related to the medical gatekeeping. It's directly affect to the health rights of a person. So the challenge in terms of policy intervention and the implementation of legal frameworks is always, it's directly linked to the sexual health and reproductive rights of a transgender person in Pakistan. And later on, but we get some success to formulate some policies for some provinces of Pakistan. Like there is a still debate is going on safe abortion, which is legal, because we have a biggest challenge. We have a religious, a religious regulatory body which called Islamic Ideology Council. So every law have to go through that council. They decide, is it according to Sharia or is it according to that? So the countries like Pakistan, where the every decision is made according to religion, and the religion is on your religion is an umbrella, and all the legislation come under through this. So there is a lot of challenges. For example, so the policy change that we get after a lot of years of efforts in terms of some legal intervention. They are just now, there is a situation in Pakistan, like we are just pushing the reverse gear, and we are going back 10 years back. So the challenge, the resistance, the hurdles from some non-traditional stakeholders. I don't call them a religious stakeholder, but a non-traditional and so much anti-human rights stakeholder. They always pushed us back to get the SRHR policies. So I think for South Asian countries, where the colonial impact is very influential, and we have the remainings of colonial era. So it's very hard for us. And the organization, I think the organization, the forums like this, they can help us to strengthen the advocacy of transgender women, because I must say the protection and the power lies in the legal protection framework. Whenever we have a legal protection framework, we strengthenize it, and after only, this is the only way that we can get the sexual sexual rights and human rights, health rights are protected. So I must suggest, and this will be my recommendations for such forums and organization, to support our advocacy work, lobby work, to develop the policies of international standards, because the efforts, we have to effort on two ways. On one other, we are pushing our government to take some steps as per international commitments, and second thing, we just reformalize, as I mentioned earlier, like we change the name of our project. So we make it some according to culturally context. So to culturally contextualize is another thing. So the policies and the legislative framework that we are proposing for the protection of SRHR should be according to cultural context, so that really can help to protect such rights in South Asian countries.
Fantastic.
Thank
I
you.
think, and also our cultural diversity is so huge. I mean, in Asia region itself, I mean, the kind of cultural diversity that we are looking at is unimaginable. I mean, every country itself has a huge amount of cultural diversities, and we have to look into that aspect. I think Satya wanted to make some additional interventions while she was typing in the chat. Satya, you would like to come in, please?
Yes, I wanted to say that, Abhina Didi, if we can't, countries like Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, maybe Pakistan, if we can't implement comprehensive sexual education for schools, we can educate our teachers, include these subjects to a teacher's guide. And, in the classroom, you can, you can educate your children and respect your children equally. And also I wanted to say, in Sri Lanka, midwife system. Have you heard about midwife system?
Yes.
It's doing a great work in Sri Lanka. I think we have eliminated mother to child transmission, also HIV and syphilis. So I think if we can educate through midwife system, if we can educate our parents, every child is a child. You have to protect them. Whether whether they are trans, whether they are disabled, or whether they whatever, they are children. So if we can educate, if we can create awareness through that system, I think it would be great.
Rashnuma, I would like to bring you in now, actually, because you spoke at length about your experiences. Where does this entire struggle came in? Like, when did you decided that, listen, I'm going to do something for my community? What made you change the system? What made you having an aspiration that, okay, I can, because a lot of people have a self-apprehension, especially transgender people. They have a very low esteem, and they don't manage to, be. You are right you are a public figure now. Like, how do you feel about it? What are your how do you feel that your responsibilities has changed, and what aspire you to be what you are right now?
Actually, this is a great compliment, Didi, from you, that I'm a public figure. And when a person tag with this tagline, so there are more responsibility already arise, because I'm internationally or nationally representing my trans sisters, trans peoples in front of world, in front of country. So if I want to say that what was inspiration on myself, that my inspiration was my performance. I love to people. I like to be story of people's life. That I really love. What I learned from community friends, that they are reacting. There are so many reactive, and they don't have that much patience. They are being distracted. They are being isolated. They are committing suicide. They are taking drugs. Many evil things that I face in front of my eyes. I'm not neglecting these issues. These issues are most reason of vulnerability. But what I learned from them, that we are doing harm ourselves, right? And nothing is happening. So anybody doesn't care about that. But if we can change something, and that can create milestone, right? So from there, I was literally, I didn't have food. Literally, I didn't have food. What will I eat in the next day? I didn't know that where will I live, but I didn't leave my performance. Didn't leave because I wanted to be a performer. I wanted to take those acknowledgement from society that I'm an artist. So that was my inspiration. And when I was being distracted, when I was so many disturbed, I was logging actually what's going on other trans people. So from somehow I can relate that life is a name of struggle. So this is not a bed of roses. So we are reading in books, but it's really, really difficult to understand with body. And I'm thinking that industry, that's mean you are doing a work, and this work, you should do the work. Don't think about result actually. Don't think about result. I was not focused on result. And truly, I didn't want to be anyone. Just I was doing my struggle. I was doing my fighting. I want to share the background, why I'm in news. When I got my scholarship from BRAC, and the BRAC scholarship money is not enough for my livelihood support.
Correct.
Okay. So that was not enough for my livelihood support. My another mates was reading, and they have family support, they have husbands, they have wife, they have family, but I don't have anyone. So I was searching a part-time job that will help me for my studies. And again saying that I was not focused that I want to be someone, I want to do here, I want to go there. Just I was struggling and I was doing my own job. So from there, I got this opportunity from my television, and I was thinking that if I go through on there, it will not harm my study. So, and this is also a challenging work, and I got this opportunity and I did it. And responsibility, yeah, a lot of responsibility increased. And still now, Didi, I'm trying my best. And thing is that I'm thinking that I have to be honest, and I have to be something for my community, that I'm representing a marginal community who are deprived from education, who are deprived from knowledge, who are deprived from all political advantages from society, from state actually, from family. So I shouldn't do, or I shouldn't talk about those issues that is against of my community. Truly, I'm sacrificing many things. I'm thinking that, okay, these advertisements can give something for my career. This is important, but what is the impact on my community? If there is some negative impact on my community, so I was stopping on there. Yeah, I'm not able to do all the works because I'm only one person. As I'm not able to eat all foods, so like that, I'm not able to do all works. So there is some limitations. So this is also important to know the individual's limitations. But as I got public exposure, so what I'm doing now, I'm doing some mentoring about young trans people, especially who are fighting their own struggle. I'm not inspiring themselves that be this, do this, and be someone. Just I'm trying to smoother their struggle, because if anyone doesn't their struggle, they can't do anything, because struggle is most important to know himself or herself or themselves. Because I know myself by my struggle, and I'm really happy that my life was so much vulnerable. Yeah, now I can realize that, and nature give you returns. So this is also happening. And nowadays, as I'm in the end of my master's course, so I'm writing some research in thesis is going on. So my platform is only for young people. Yeah, I'm focused on young because they are doing their study. They are still now with family. I don't want that they will withdraw from family, because without family, life leading is so much difficult. I'm so much feeling happy that Nilasha is continuing with her family, and her family accept her easily. I know this struggle also difficult for her, but she is living with family. This is achievement. This is achievement. I want to go there. And the scenario was so much vulnerable, actually, so much vulnerable, Didi. I can't ignore actually. And at a time I was thinking that I should die. I was trying to commit suicide 4 times. So now I'm thinking, if I did that, so there was many works was pending. Now, so we are trying to do these things, and I'm so lucky that in Bangladesh, actually people's mindset, they have so old mindset in their body, in their mind, the chain are breaking day by day. Yeah, it's not doing it's not so much exposing actually, but the things are happening inside. Huh, we got a liberation after 9 months war. Nah, so I'm really hopeful, and and that I'm thinking, and the most energy that I love to lead my life with some positive people. I love to live with my some positive friends actually. So that's why I'm telling again and again, Satya, she's here, that I got some positive energy from nature actually. Yeah, when I was so much vulnerable, Satya was with me, Shreya with me, and in Nepal I have another friend, Manisha Didi, she was with me. So I got this kind of support actually from all over the South Asia, all over the world. People who loves me, they didn't do anything, but they do a lot of things by their mental support. That is so much important for people actually who are doing struggle their own journey. Yeah, I was not focused on building money. I don't have money, truly. I don't have money, and I was not focused for myself. But I'm so happy that I was doing my study, I was doing my performance. And after my exposure, I got a commercial from international organization Yamaha, and they acknowledged me as a mainstream artist, and I was doing as a mainstream actor. So this is a great acknowledgement for a trans people that we are contributing society, and this acknowledgement is really great. And our another national lady, Prothom Aluisa Bangla newspaper, they acknowledged me as an artist, and I got this acknowledgement from society. That was, and I was really wanted that. So I got it by my own hard work. So hard work is most important, and focus. So when we are defocusing, so this is most important. Nowadays, what I'm observing in my young people or some people, that they want to do many things. They are applying for this award, they want this award, they want to go there, they want to go here, they are doing here, and their social platform are full with so much activities. They are doing all things. But what is the input? Sorry, what was the output? There is no output. So I want to be more specific. I want to be more focused. I want to do my own work. And as I'm working as a public person, and many people are following me, right? So this is a fear of me that when I will do a misstep, so it will hamper my all community. And I'm really happy, Didi. Yeah, India, I got so many news, so many good issues from India, Nepal, Pakistan, Myanmar. I have a friend in Myanmar, and they are fighting with internet connection. They don't have any internet. And he called me after a 5 miles run. Vishnu, only for you, I want to congratulate you. That's why I'm here. So I was literally crying. I got these achievements by this hard work, Didi. And
Fantastic.
of course, this is important for me to make a pillar, to do something better.
Absolutely. Tashnua, I'm feeling heavy because I see your pain. I feel your pain. And I just want to send all the good vibes, but we derive from each other's strength. All of us sisters and brothers who are here in this call, we derive from each other's strength. So more power to you. And I also want to touch base on one more important aspect that you spoke about, is on the suicide of the transgender people. And suicide prevention is the most important things that can also relate to the sexual reproductive health, because it is ultimately happening because of the issues that are arriving because of sexuality, because of the gender expression. And I think we need to bring that in as a part of a sexual reproductive health ambit. I think we need to redefine and rework on what are the priority areas that one should cover when we talk about sexual reproductive health of transgender people. So fantastic, you brought a very important aspect. Gautam, I will go to you now. Now we are almost have like some amount of time to kind of have a final discussions. But before that, Gautam, there is a lot of confusion about trans men among the communities. People lack with understanding. I mean, lot of these countries were there: Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Nepal. All of them have trans men. It's that they don't have. It's not that they don't have a trans man, but people lack with trans men understanding their issues. If you can just highlight about that, and if you can talk about your personal story also as a trans man, how did you arrive here, and like what were the struggles that you've gone through, and so it will give a lot of inspiration to all the people who are listening to us here from various countries, and at the same time can relate to your story.
Uh, so I have a lot of experiences and stories when it comes to accessing the SRHR services or the generic healthcare services. But I want to tell about one most important incident in my life, how all this has started, how I started with this work. So when I was in college, the second year of my college, I got sick, and as because of the fear of discriminated and getting misgendered and dead name, I was in complete denial of going to a hospital. I got the medicine from a nearby pharmacy, and I was sick. I locked myself in my room for a week, and I didn't go to hospital, and that made it worse. I was having very high fever. I was puking. I was not able to walk. But after a week, my friends, pushed me, and they asked me to go to hospital. They forcefully took me to a hospital, and there the thing happened that I was always feared of. The doctors were misgendering, dead naming, and at a point of time when I was in the emergency room, a doctor came, and he said my dead name loudly, and I said, I don't like that name, please don't say that name. And they mockingly said, this is what it is written here. What is why your chest is so flat? Instead of asking why I got admitted, why I am here, what is the problem, he pointed towards my chest. Why you dress like this, why your hair is like this, and why your chest is so flat? Because I was binding my chest at that time. And that created a traumatic experience of my life. And after that, I simply came back to my room, and I locked myself in my room for another week. I didn't go out, in it. And from there, I started having suicidal ideation, depression, and all. That is like till date the most traumatic experience of my life. And I started seeing a therapist after that, of course. But after that, when I was trying to figure things out, when I was trying to take care of myself, I started reading the stories of trans persons in India, specifically trans masculine persons. That's where, when I got intrigued by these stories, of healthcare services, how trans men are coming to the mainstream society to do the activism work and all other works. And at that point of time, I realized how stories are powerful. We need to share our experiences. That's how people will know we exist, what are our needs, what we want, to make these services, not just healthcare services, but also the other services, more accessible. And my other programs and projects are also revolve around the same topic, that I collect stories, I talk about stories and experiences of trans men. Speaking to about the issues that trans masculine persons face in accessing the SRHR services, I think a bit of it you covered already, that a lot of trans masculine people, they do not talk about their sexual experiences and STIs. Being a person who rely on stories to run the projects, it is very hard for me to create a dialogue. It is very difficult to make them talk about their experiences. They are still, what should I say, shy or not open to talk about these things. And that is also a reason that they are not accessing the SRHR services, mostly because the curriculum, the dialogue is very cishet normative, that they don't want to access these services or anything. And moving towards the a pregnancy bit, I would like to touch base on the existing laws. We have that MTP Act, in medical termination of pregnancy. Trans men are completely excluded from that act. Although that act is still in the bill format, it still needs some improvisation. But the the point is, they are building up that act. They want to bring laws for termination of pregnancy, but they are completely excluding trans men. We need those laws too. We also get pregnant. Either we want to get, or not to forget the
Yeah.
sexual harassment
Yeah.
part.
Yeah.
Yeah. And these laws, most of these laws, the SRHR laws, are excluding trans masculine persons and AFAB non-binary persons, to be specific.
Yes, thank you, Gautam. I think that is a very important aspect. Now, I have got some questions and I want all of you to contribute to it. Whoever wants to answer the question can come in and compliment and answer the question. The first question that I've got is basically a difference between sexuality and gender. There are a lot of people who are extremely confused about sexuality and gender. We are talking about sexual reproductive health. And there has been discussions that why are we talking about sexual reproductive health of the transgender people? Why are transgender people vulnerable for sexual reproductive health? If anybody would like to come in and talk about it, please raise your hand, or however you want to go ahead, or jump in. Anyone?
Can I?
Yes, please, Gautam.
So the best way to differentiate between sexuality and gender identity is sexuality. Sexuality is a spectrum, but I would like to break it down to another term, that is sexual orientation. So sexual orientation is something, is what I call who I want to be with, be it romantically, physically, or sexually. It could be any of the three or all of the three. And on the basis of that, we have different kind of sexual orientations. And gender identity is something what I feel, how I see myself in front of a mirror. When I stand in front of a mirror, how I see myself is my gender identity.
Yes, thank you. So I think what we are trying to talk about here is that I express myself as a transgender or non-binary person, but I may fall in love with and have a sexual intercourse with anybody. Like, for example, I can fall in love with a transgender person, have sexual activity with that person. I can love a trans man, trans woman, cis woman. That is my sexuality, but my gender expression is transgender. And that is why we are talking about vulnerabilities over here. So we don't presume, but we make sure that is we stick to the point. The second question I would like to ask to Satya. Satya, we are talking about adolescents, transgender people, and young transgender people, transgender children. What are the sexual reproductive health issues that arise into trans children, and how do we address that?
Thanks, Abhina Didi. So when we think about adolescents, we think about the age between 14 to 17 people. So in this puberty time, we get feeling towards the other person. So that means we feel young trans men and women, they both feel different. They are in a confusion period. So they go for sexual experiments. And their mental stage is, in a confusion period. So that's why I was trying to say, in adolescent time, we need to focus about, lots of sexual reproductive health and also mental health as well.
Okay, yes, fantastic. So, so how can we actually make sexual reproductive health? How can we increase their awareness? What can we do as an SRHR organization in that space, if you can guide us?
We know, like in Sri Lanka, we were having discussions to give comprehensive sexual education in the school curriculum. We have a gender session in our textbook, but it's not teaching by teachers very well. But when we think about comprehensive sex education here, we can't do it here, because we had a discussion, and the religious leaders came to the scene, and they was like, we shouldn't talk about, and we shouldn't promote it. But we know it's happening. Young people are doing experiments, they are confused. So I would say, if we can't give comprehensive sex education, at least we can teach teachers. We can have counselors in schools, school clinics. So through that, we can touch, different parts of the sexual reproductive health.
Thank you. Thank you, Satya. I've got a last question for Nayab. Nayab, are you here? Nayab Ali, can you come? I hope you are
Yes,
here.
yes,
Okay,
I
okay.
can.
Okay,
Yeah,
ma'am,
yeah.
I have got a very specific question for you. There's one person who's saying that if I have to access the sexual reproductive health, and if I live in countries like which are difficult for me to access those services, what are the rights I have as a human being to seek those services? What can I do? Politically, as per the human rights, what can I do? Do you have any response to that?
Yeah, it's very good question. First of all, their rights is a commitment that any state have with its citizen. So the basic right is right to live, right to good health. Whatever it matters to your privacy, but there are some restrictions, right? You can say there are some religious restriction as well. For example, the countries like Pakistan and Afghanistan and all other countries, they always prohibit the all practices which they think which is against the religion. So you can't get them, but for example, the sexual reassignment surgeries, it was banned in Pakistan, and still it's banned. But if you really goes under certain conditions, you can just contact to the courts, and you can get the permission to get your reassignment surgeries and whatever procedures you want to adopt. So this is the legal perspective. But obviously, we all understand there are some restrictions, there are some barriers that are imposed. But the basic, as from the human right perspective and the perspective of constitution of any country, so this is the basic commitment to fulfill the health rights. For example, now the countries are progressing, like Pakistan is now moving forward towards making some pro SRHR legislation. So we are in process of developing some legal policy in some provinces, and definitely we are struggling for national, because we have a national youth council which is really struggling for the approval of a policy on SRHR in Pakistan. So if you are living in a conservative country, a narrow-minded country, and or something, the religion have influential or political interest has the influence on it, or cultural have the influence on it. So you just simply claim your right of health as a citizen of a country. So there is a there is a no option that country can deny your basic rights. For example, if the you do but when matter come on your consent, so there is a different need of the hour and the issue of your consent and non-consent. So if you want to do something change in your body, or you want to have to change your gender, so there is a different need of the consent and non-consent. Sorry, I was completing my part.
Yeah.
So there was a internet problem. So lastly, I was saying, if you there is a difference between your willingness and you want to do something to add your value in your health. So and there is a need of art. So all restrictions imposed on your willingness. For example, if you want to do abortion and it is not causing your health, but you are doing for your willingness and you really want to have that. So as per religious perspective and the country and political perspective, they think it's not good. So the restriction always imposed on that. So when you are living in narrow-minded and conservative countries, so you can seek permission in case the severity of the situation. For example, I was just reading some fatwas and the issued by some religious cleric. So they were mentioning, like, if you are facing the severe stage of gender dysphoria, you can go under castration, you can go for sex reassignment surgery. But if you don't go under the severe stage of gender dysphoria, you can't adopt it. Like, for example, it's very hard and tough statement for gender queer persons and the transgender person.
I think we are struggling with Nayab's internet
We
connection.
pay.
Nayab, are you back? Nayab, are you back? Nayab? Nayab, are you back? I think we lost her. We have also lost two of our Bangladeshi colleagues, but that has been a fantastic discussion. Today has been a really eye-opener. We spoke at length about sexuality, gender, youth-centric issues, country specific requirements on SRHR perspective, and also we spoke about what can be done on SRHR when we talk about from the perspective of our work, particularly with the IPPF. We spoke that we have to increase awareness, we have to get aware about more issues on transgender issues, we have to talk about inclusivity, which talks about gender transition issues, has to brought in issues related to suicidal prevention, issues related to quality healthcare, that is important. But I think what we need to do is that we have to reduce the discrimination and we have to reduce the discrimination and ill practices that are happening within the clinics that refrain transgender people from accessing the sexual health services with the dignity. So when we actually look into the future of SRHR services, we have to make sure that a transgender person who's walking into our clinics must claim the dignity in accessing the health, must claim the pride in coming to your clinic and saying that, hey, listen, I'm a transgender person and I need my health. And we have to start understanding that health is also a human right, and all humans are born with the human rights. So we have to make sure that we have to create a quality healthcare, and we have to ensure that the healthcare services are inclusive, and we have to make sure that nobody is left behind. And the last aspect that we have to work around with that, we have to deliver no matter what. When we deliver, we don't look at the gender, we don't look at the ethnicity, we don't look at the color of the skin, we don't look at the religion, but what we look at is the human being and access that we can provide for the SRHR. Thank you so much, Preeti, and all the team members, Shilpa and other team members of IPPA for organizing this very forthcoming and fantastic panel. Thank you, Satya. Thank you, Gautam. Thank you, Nilasa. Thank you, Tasnuva, and also thank you, Naya, for being here and helping us to sort of open our minds. I'm sure a lot of my IPPF colleagues will have a lot of thought process going on in their mind. They are just absorbing the information and they will go back, and of course we will come with the bang of making sure that transgender people are inclusive in IPPF. I will at least make sure nobody sleeps happily till the time it happens. Thank you so much for having this session. Thank you, Preeti, over to you.
Thank you, everybody. It was an amazing, enriching session. I wish we had more time. I can see that the number of attendees increased actually as we were talking. So it is very good. We will share a recording of this session with the participants later on for you to listen to the session again. Please feel free to write to our email address, SARO-Forums2021, with any more questions that you would ask from the panelists, and we'll try our best to get answers from them. Thank you very much, Abhina, for being such a fantastic moderator and bringing out the best insights from all our panelists. Thank you once again. Shilpa, अच्छा लगा?
Yeah, it was a very nice session, very interesting session. I love the session. Yeah,
Same
it
here.
was very nice session.
So nice
Yeah,
to direct people. Chalo.
yeah, actually.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bye. Thank
See you
you.
in next
Bye.
session.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Rizwan. Thank
bye.
you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Rizwan.
You are muted.